Hello everyone, I am Firemage, and today we'll see some tricks and tips about Dromed, the elevator for Thief 2, the Metal Age. Today we'll see some advanced stuff about the evil Mechanist clock. Several Dromedars like to create Mechanist complex, but many of them did not use this object for the simple reason this object is very broken. The first issue is the model used by default. If you go to Gizmo, Clocks, mechclock, you will see the model name mechclock 2. And mechclock 2 got this special shape that you can see right here. It could be very interesting when you look at it, but no. The ends are broken as a pendulum. Those both sub-objects are not joints. Joints are sub-objects which can move with the joint position properties and can be controlled by joint track position properties. This is what makes the button moving, that animate the levers, stuff like this. The same for the handle of the door when you are lock picking them. This is very interesting to play with the joints, but with this mechclock 2 used by default, the only joints among all the numerous sub-objects from the model are the gears. And those gears are not very interesting because first, they are very not seeable because of the face of the clock. Not all the gears are animated, and worst, there are some clipping among the gears. It's not very interesting to use. There is mechclock, the simple mechclock, which also exists within the file of the game. It is not shown in the archetype, and it's a pity because it's a big ass object that can be used for Clockwork Tower. But again, we've got the same problem as in mechclock 2. Only the gears are moving, not the hands. And then we've got two objects that we can use to make our Mechanist able to see the current hours, the current time during the mission, and then breaking a bit the immersion, making you think Mechanist don't know what time is it. Those objects are more than just a regular puzzle for Gervasius when you are building a mission. Perchance, I just did several versions, so as you can see, mechclock 2, mechclock, but also mechclock 3. And this is the object we would like to use to make some working clock during your mission. Exactly like the grandfather clock you can see in the mansion mission. So, as you can see, the sub-objects used as a joint are the pendulum and the hands. Nice, isn't it? Well, soon you'll be disappointed. Because like me, when I discover this object, you will rush at the grandfather clock, check the properties, copy and paste the speed of the joint for the hours and minutes. Here for the hours, here for the minutes. The minimum degree of the joint or position when it's a sliding joint, and the final value to reach before stopping the animation or resetting or continuing. In this case, we just have rotating joint, which is what we need. So you can think it's compatible, but there are some issues. The first problem is the pendulum is set wrong already. It's not like this, it will work since Dark Engine don't like when the initial value of your movement is bigger than the final value. So you have to fix this first. So in our case, I have shortened this both value, 355 and 365. And also the joints are not the same. Instead of joint 1 and joint 2, it's joint 4 and 5. So I set the value from the grandfather clock. You may think it's enough. You may think we did it. But here's the issue. You test. You are waiting anxiously for the result. And you see this. The pendulum is working fine, but not the clock. Yes, as you can see, the ends of the face don't move. This is very, very embarrassing. You put so much effort to find this object. You were trusting on this object. And now you feel betrayed. And you don't understand what is happening. I know what is happening. There is certainly some issues between the joint tweak and the joint position. Certainly a trouble when LGS did the conversion. They certainly broke those sub-objects, so joint position properties detect it as two joint on the object, but tweak joint don't. So it's when tweak joint, since this property do not detect the hands as joints, it will not update joint positions. So it will never move. But we haven't lost yet. Since one property is moving those sub-objects, it means there's still hope. And then let's go to the technical part. Wow, 2 o'clock. Many of you are lost in front of this and are wondering, what the heck are you doing, Firemage? I will explain to you what I've done. The only clock that should be animated is this one, the vertical one. This is our mechclock 3 we've seen last time, but with different setting. As you can see, I have disabled the joint tweak, the joint state tweak, because we won't use it. As you can see, there is a reception here. There is a goal behind this little strategy. Actually, this second clock has been used for one purpose. It's mechclock 2, and the only reason I use it is because it had 6 joints among the numerous subobjects, and all of them are responding to the tweak joint property. Since tweak joint property are using rotating animation and are not moving, it's easy to use them as a template that will imitate the movement we would like to see on our visible main clock. And then, since all of the joint will work and be detected, the property joint positions will be updated. It will change. And this is the interesting part. Since joint positions in our broken model is detected by the game and is moving everything, then we'll be playing with it, so we will have the ends and the pendulum working like if everything was alright with this model. I set the pendulum movement on the joint 3 from the mechclock 2, so the gears of the clock. And I did the same for hours and minutes. Now these gears are behaving like our clock, and they will be updating joint 3, 4, and 5. Now the last step is copying this property and pasting it to our main visible clock. Because yes, this clock will obviously be invisible and immaterial later. For now it's visible just for you to see how it's working. So now, how to make the copy paste? Well, first you need to choose a stimulus. I choose first team because it's easier to find out how my stimulus is working. So having Garrett hurt is certainly the best way to know if your stim has been emitted correctly. You will obviously in the final phase choose another stimulus, an armless one at best, or a new one if you don't want to have any problem. It's even more advised to do that. And then choose reduce. Reduce so you can emit the stimulus to your visible clock with the intensity you want to use. It just shouldn't be null. Choose a positive or negative value. Edit the shape. One radius is enough, since with such radius the clock will be touched by the template, but also the radius will be stuck within the hitbox. So there is less risk of hurting someone or destroying the surrounding environment, in the case you want to spare some archetype for more sound or textures, since all of these ID are limited and sharing the ID. So choose one radius, set no flag to make sure your intensity will never move, the same for dissipation. For life cycle, set no max firing and -1, so it will be an endless refreshing. As for the period, select 16. It's low enough to make sure the refreshing will be fast and to be able to see the hands moving in a natural way, but not too low to have some issues of performance during your game, which could be a real big issue since players don't really enjoy a mission when it's laggy or unstable or worse, crashing game. So 16 is the best deal, since period is in milliseconds. So it's very fast. Once you did this, you've got your template. We will tell every 16 milliseconds, hey man, I exist. So you set on the visible clock a reception with the same stimulus emitted by the template. So each time the template is yelling, hey, I exist, this visible clock will tell, I hear you now. Now let's apply the effect. So choose the range of intensity. Because I'm lazy for this test, I choose no min, no max, but obviously to avoid issues, I've asked you to choose a very accurate value, very hard for the player to trigger, or the environment to trigger, so it's safer that way. And then you select set property as effect. It's the effect to copy a property from an object to another. It's copying then the joint pause property from the agent object to the target object. The target object is the visible clock. The source object is the template clock, the one with yelling every 16 seconds, hey, I exist. And the property we will be copying will be the joint position, which is updated in the template thanks to the joint tweak, and then it will be applied to our visible clock, where the joint tweak don't work. So we will have the same animation moving at the same time from the template and on the visible clock every 16 milliseconds. So the result of this will be the following. A perfectly working Mechanist clock. Nice, isn't it? So, what's the point of this? You may say it's very annoying to do this for a simple clock, when we could use some custom script, which seems to be easier. And you'll be right, but this method has one advantage that custom scripts don't always have. You can apply it to your game system. Yes, you can make a new archetype of this mechclock. In a way, you will just have to place the fixed mechclock and do nothing else. You will be free from any other setting. It will be always working anywhere you place it, anywhere you move it. And I show you what I did to upgrade this prototype to some working independent object. As you can see, there is two subobjects made, my template and my fixed mechclock. So the things this way we could think, okay, I know Firemage, you play the fixed mechclock and you place the template over it. It's still boring. Wrong. Because I found a way to just create your fixed clock, place it in your game this way, and it will be working right now. As you can see, pendulum working, the hands working. How I did this? Well, the template must be created and attached to the fixed mechclock when you create it. It seems simple on the paper, but trust me, if you don't know the trick, it could be harder than expected. For an IA, it's simple because you can use contain and use inherit contain and tick off inherit contain and choose belt or alternative like the archer. But for object, it's different since a contain object within an object and not an eye will be teleported to the 000 coordinate. And if our template is too far away from our fixed mechclock, it won't work because you should have your template calculated by the game to have its joints working and having then the joint position updated and then copying to the visible clock. You get it? Let's see it a bit closer. As you can see, I have changed almost nothing there on the fixed mechclock. I just changed the fire steam to earth steam because having a negative earth stimuli is impossible. I could make no max no min and have fun seeing the player breaking for some second the clockwork by shooting a mouse around it, but it won't really worth it. So I choose this method. But now, those who are the most cautious will notice this. Particle attachment. Yes, a particle is created at the same time of your object when you are placing it in game, and it's following it everywhere you are moving it in your game. And plus, when you delete it, the particles delete as well. So, since your template is supposed to be an invisible object with no hitbox, we just exist to tell your stupid mechclock how to move its joints, well, particle attachment is the best choice. But it's not over, because this is not a particle, and normally it's not supposed to work. Well, recently I discovered how to make it work like a regular detail attachment link with even more liberty. All you need is to create a particle's properties and select launch it continually so the object will never be deleted. And it's enough. particle element attachment will work at this moment. Now, the last thing you need to do, now you've got your template attached to your visible clock, you've got to make it invisible. So, someone may tell me by seeing this, hey, why not choosing render and render type? Well, for a simple reason. The difference between opacity and render type do not render is choosing the do not render will make the dark engine not even calculating the shape and the model of the object. So if the object got some joints like our template, these joints won't exist. The track will not even fire itself, since the joints do not exist for the game. So your template will do nothing, and then your visible clock will also do nothing. This is the reason you need to set opacity to 0. This way, the object thinks it's just very transparent but still there, so it will calculate the model as if it was visible. So now we've got an invisible template. To make things even better, let's make it immortal. So let's choose type and set it to none. Why I'm doing this? Well, for the simple reason, if you want for a scenario reason or objective goals, your mechclock breakable or movable, it would be a pity to have your template interfering with your movement. You don't want this to happen, so making immortal is certainly the best solution to do. Finally, the last step is this one. You keep Z as 1 and set X and I to very small value. The reason of this is simple. Your template will be so thin it won't disturb you to select your fixed clock and move it around. As you can see, I'm absolutely not disturbed by the template. I can move it like a regular object, like if the template has never existed. And why keeping it tall like my clock? Well, because Dark Engine is a weirdo. A really big weirdo. Because if the physical hitbox of my object is not on my site, the object is no more calculated by the game. So if I set it as well to 0.01, well, when Garrett is watching at his foot or at the ceiling, the clock will stop working. It could be a way to make some creepy thing, but for regular working clock for decoration, it's pretty a pity. So remember this trick and keep it high. It won't be annoying to move your object. As you can see, I can even move it from this screen. I'm not that disturbed by the template. And the template is still doing its job. If I delete this object, the template is deleted as well. Then you've got a Mechanist clock working fine. Well, that's all. I hope this tutorial has pleased you. And see you next time if you want more like this. And have a nice Dromeding day. See ya!